The pride of the island of Motunui prepares to set sail in the live-action adaptation of the beloved animated classic. Let's see how far she'll go this time now that it's all real. Grab your chickens, hogs, and favorite demigod because the Moana review is coming your way right now. Hello everyone, and welcome to the latest edition of the Porter Report. My name is BJ Porter, and I hope everybody is having an amazing day today. For all of my returning viewers, it is wonderful to see you all again, and for all my first timers out there, welcome, and we hope you enjoy everything that this video and channel has to offer. Month 2 of the summer movie season continues as we head towards the midway point of July. This slate has a strong collection of films attached to it, and one of them is the subject of today's Porter Report movie review. This is a segment where I express my thoughts and opinions about the movies that I see and enjoy, and those of you do as well. Disney's practice of bringing animated films to life has surprisingly only existed for 32 years. While some are more celebrated than others, this one features one of the most popular characters of the modern era just in time for the 10th anniversary of our very first voyage. Today I'm giving you guys the official review for Disney's Moana, directed by Thomas Kail and starring Raina Owen, John Tui, Frankie Adams, Jermaine Clement, with Dwayne Johnson reprising his role as the demigod Maui, and in the role of our titular heroine, newcomer and native of the island of Samoa, Captain Laga'aia. The Disney Princess roster is stacked to the brim with incredibly iconic characters, but few have made such a global impact quite like Moana. Since her debut in 2016, Moana has resonated with so many fans around the world. Her bravery, the passion she has for her people, and what she represents for the culture, specifically for the Polynesian culture, has made her one of the most popular characters and princesses within the Disney brand. She's currently in my top 5 princess lineup in case you were wondering. Given how things have gone recently, the idea of doing a live-action adaptation of the 2016 animated film was something that I expected to happen eventually. What I wasn't expecting was for it to happen so early. During Disney's 100 Years of Wonder celebration 3 years ago, the announcement was made that a live-action version of the movie was in development. Honestly, it made sense for films within the Renaissance era to be adapted at this point, but even for me, I felt it was a little bit too early to be doing live-action versions of films from the Revival era. Keep in mind, this announcement was made 7 years after the animated film's original release. Despite me and a lot of other fans' initial skepticism, it really does show the appeal of this character on a global scale. Once the film was confirmed to be coming, the real question was who was going to portray these characters on screen. While it was confirmed that Dwayne Johnson would be reprising his role as Maui in the film, the real question was who was going to be taking on the role of Moana herself. As you might have guessed, the search was pretty exhaustive and extensive. But after seeing the auditions of countless potential candidates, 32,000 to be exact, they found the girl who would bring the wayfinding princess to life. Hailing from the country of Australia with Polynesian roots tied to the island of Samoa, Captain Laga'aia scored the coveted role in what is set to be her big screen debut. Fun fact, her father Jay Laga'aia is no stranger to the big screen or the Disney brand, for he portrayed the role of Captain Typho in the Star Wars prequel movies Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith. Everybody has their opinions about this remake existing for better or worse. But the real question is, what will this new version of the story give us as this character is introduced to a new generation through this new lens? The answers we're looking for lie within the ocean, so it's time to set sail and seek them out. Here's the Porter Report movie review for Disney's Moana. Heritage and legacy go hand in hand within any culture. It is a connective branch that reminds us who we are, what we stand for, and what we should hold on to so we can prevent losing our identity as time passes. For the people of the island of Motunui, they have a rich history and a strong sense of identity that connects generations. But deep down, there has always been this void that feels like a part of their story is missing or forgotten. Someone who seems to have this feeling the most is the island's princess, Moana. Ever since she was a child, she has always had this intensely intimate relationship with the ocean. While she is determined to do everything she can to make sure she plays a part in Motunui's growth, there is always this part of her spirit that beckons her to look beyond where she is meant to be. When the island's resources become dangerously low thanks to the workings of an ancient curse that is consuming their island and many others, Moana makes the bold decision to traverse the open ocean and return the fabled heart of Te Fiti to its rightful place in an attempt to return peace and prosperity to her homeland. Facing down a slew of harrowing trials and deadly creatures, in addition to encountering the legendary yet overly egotistical shape-shifting demigod robot named Maui, Moana must work to restore the heart and reconnect her people to a part of themselves that has been hidden away for far too long. Disney invites you to experience the spiritual rush of adventure and self-discovery in the live-action adaptation of the 2016 animated classic. Moana reintroduces one of the brand's most beloved heroines to a new generation via a new lens while looking to maintain the essence of what makes this character and story so special. After traveling to where the line meets the sea, Moana plays things very safe in its execution, but the results still deliver in hindsight. The idea of doing a live-action version of Moana before the original movie is even 10 years old was definitely something that gave me pause. I am used to the announcement of a live-action version coming 10, 15, even 20, 30 years after the animated version. However, this story seemed to have enough to warrant the authorization early. Obviously, people had strong opinions about it, as they do with every other one of the remakes. But for me, the live-action adaptation of the 2016 Disney animated classic is good enough to be fun in its own right while still paying respect to the original, much to both its benefit and detriment. Speaking on the performances, that was one of the main things I looked at as the make or break for this movie. These characters are iconic for a reason, and bringing them to life on screen was a task that they needed to get right or the movie would falter dramatically. The title role in particular was the most essential, and they needed someone to bring our beloved heroine to life authentically, and I am happy to report that the person that they chose rose to the challenge brilliantly. Catherine Laga'aia truly encapsulates everything that I love about this character. For this to be her feature film debut, she had a ton of expectations and pressures going into it. But I'm thrilled to say that she absolutely delivered. Every emotion, every note sung, every mannerism was captured spot on, to the point where I was honestly seeing Moana in front of me from first frame to last. That isn't to say that Laga'aia didn't add some of her own personal flair to the role, which helped make this version of the character stand out slightly from her animated counterpart. She is without question the biggest bright spot of this film, and she deserves every bit of praise I hope she receives. Of course, her running mate may be a veteran of the game, but he still came to play nonetheless. Dwayne Johnson as Maui is about what you'd expect. He plays the character beat for beat, and there's no doubt that he isn't afraid to have fun with it. That said, there's an advantage he has with being the character in the voice booth that is missing in the live-action version. Let me make it clear that Johnson is obviously more than capable in the role, but seeing him as Maui in live action works in some cases, but sometimes not as much as I would have liked. His chemistry with Laga'aia is one of the elements that works within the film, and their dynamic is fun to watch, but I honestly see the animated version of Maui as the far superior version, no question. To be honest, the movie being faithful to the animated film is both a good thing and a bad thing overall. On the positive side, the film has all of the key moments and emotional beats that make this story resonate with so many fans around the world. That said, there is not much difference between it and the film that it's using as its foundational center. This will, to no one's surprise, anger fans who see this as a waste, for very little was done except make this story with real people. While I don't disagree with that stance, I will give the film credit where credit is due for said faithfulness to the animated material, simply because the execution of it is very well done. The song sequences translate well to live action, with all of the performers bringing the world to life on screen in a believable way. One of my favorite musical numbers from the 2016 animated film, You're Welcome, is particularly a standout, as its combination of animation and live action makes for a sequence that might be one of the best I've seen in a Disney live action remake. In addition to that, Laga'aia absolutely crushes her renditions of How Far I'll Go and Song of the Ancestors, making her just as emotionally enveloping as her animated vocal counterpart, Ali'i Carvalho. The film brings these moments to life on screen effectively, and I don't have any doubt that they understood the importance of maintaining the spirit of the original. The problem I believe most people will have is that this film doesn't really offer much that the animated movie already does. That said, I still think that the job that was done is at least good enough in my eyes to still not mind it being in the room. All in all, the live-action version of Moana is a good enough retelling for me to find quite a bit of enjoyment in it. I do agree that this live-action film probably didn't need to be made, especially this early, but the film did what it needed to do to ensure that respect was given, even at the cost of not taking risks. The animated voyage will most likely be the one that people will jump at the chance to go on again and again, but this edition of it offers the same charm and heart despite its treading within familiar waters. Disney live-action remakes being a punching bag for fans online seems to be a favorite pastime as the practice continues. While I myself do get a little bit weary of the existence of these reimaginings, there are some instances where they just don't bother me as much as they do others. In the case of Moana, I'll put it to you this way. The best thing about this film is that it's a very faithful adaptation of the 2016 animated classic. The worst thing about this film, it's a very faithful adaptation of the 2016 animated classic. I will agree with some of y'all, there's really not much to differentiate this film from its animated counterpart, with the exception being a talented cast of live actors and only a small teaspoon of changes to the story. Despite all of that, I will give credit where credit is due when it comes to this film's execution in translating this story into live action. It's the story we all know, but told through this new cinematic lens. It's not destroying anything, but it's also not adding anything to the table either. Some people may look at that as a blasphemous sin, but I see it as a film that respects the foundational text even to its detriment. One thing I will say is that while you can criticize a lot of things about this movie, there will be no slander on the name of Captain Laga'aia. Y'all, this kid rocked this role, and I couldn't be happier that she brought one of my favorite Disney heroines to life in the way that she did. She truly became the character while adding a couple of our own personal touches to ensure that it was an authentic representation of the beloved Wayfinder we've grown to love for a decade. She has absolutely earned her place as one of the best Disney princess portrayals within the realm of live action. She is truly a special young lady, and I cannot wait to see what's next for her. As I said before, I'm not dismissing anybody's criticism of this film being a shot-for-shot retread of the animated movie. But let's be honest here. We can't really get on this film too much for being a rehash of the original, yet in the same breath praise the live-action How to Train Your Dragon for basically doing the exact same thing. Both translated well into photorealism, and both also have some of the same shots and at times some of the same dialogue as their animated counterpart. But while one is shunned, the other is praised and at times held as the gold standard for some. I'm not trying to say that people's opinions aren't valued. All I'm saying is that if we're gonna give criticism to the practice, we gotta be consistent on all sides. But hey, it's all subjective at the end of the day. In the end, guys, did we need a live action version of Moana? Keeping cynical and jaded sarcasm out of it, I'll simply say that the answer is no. But if we were always going to get one, I probably would have been good waiting another 10 or 15 years for it. But I still relatively enjoyed it, even though it's more than likely that I'll get just as much, if not more, enjoyment out of watching the animated film. Yes, I know that people continue to be annoyed that these remakes continue to pop up, but at the end of the day, if you don't want to see them, you don't have to. You still have the animated film in all its beauty and glory. More than likely, I'll be sticking with the animated version because it's the one I know and love. But depending on my mood, I actually might watch this version. Stop thinking your childhood is under attack merely because it's a different take. Life is too short to be having that type of mindset in the times that we're living in. Just simply ride the waves, have fun, and hang loose. But now that you've heard from me, I now want to hear from all of you guys. Sound off in the comments below your thoughts about Disney's Moana, but be mindful of anything that could potentially be seen as a spoiler. I know that might be ridiculous to say, but there are people who genuinely have never seen this story before. So please be respectful to those who haven't. And if you, or more specifically your kids, have never seen the 2016 animated classic, I'm going to need that to get rectified because it's way past time for you and them to get introduced to the original. Overall, despite these remakes always being divisive, I really don't see the practice slowing down anytime soon. And as annoying as it sounds coming from me, I'm sorry guys, but I think there's a couple of films that I personally think are long overdue for the live action treatment. I know, it's me, I'm part of the problem. But at least I'm able to admit that. As always, keep it locked to the channel for more videos and reviews throughout the remainder of summer movie season 2026 and beyond. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and tell a friend to stop on by. I hope everybody has a wonderful rest of their day, and until the next review, I'm BJ Porter, and this has been The Porter Report.